Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. Today I will be doing a review for book 9, Dust of Dreams by Steven Erikson, book 9 of Malazan Book of the Fallen. And this will have spoilers for the book, but I will try to keep it as non-spoiler as I can until I get to the end. Or at least until I get to the spoiler part. But initial reactions to this book, it took me almost a month to read it. And factoring in my vacation from hell that I had taken, this book took me the longest to get through. And I don't mean that in like a very negative way, just slightly negative. Because this is probably the longest book in the series, it feels like. It was 1,276 pages, I believe, in my edition. And it just felt very long at times. I really enjoyed the prologue, setting up kind of everything that was going to happen in this book, and the POV of Calith, I believe is how you say her name, and getting all of the Kachane, God, what were they called? It's the it's not the Kachane Chamal, but maybe it's the Talon Nawak? Yeah, Nawak. Oh, Naruk. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. But the prologue set up everything perfectly for the last half of the book. But my issue with this book was the pacing in the first half. Or I would say around the middle portion. I would say the 25% to 75% kind of portion of the book. Because it's a whole lot of preparing for kind of our final battle or final segment of the war going on I guess 7 cities is the continent that they are on. But the head of the East, they're doing the best trying to kind of get ready for this war. And that's what the majority of this book is about. And I feel like I've already gone through spoilers, so don't watch anymore if you don't want any spoilers. I'm sorry, but it's hard to talk about without talking spoilers. But my big issue with this is that we don't really get any forward momentum with a lot of our character storylines. I think outside of Onos Toulon, Gessler, Stormy, Talk the Younger, who I think is one of my favorite characters this book, along with Onos Toulon. Those 4 are really the ones who got the most sort of, I don't know how to say it, stagnation, I want to say, was kind of repeating kind of the same stuff we've been having, because in this book, and maybe it's just me, maybe I'm not thinking about it the right way, but there have been multiple times in the series, and each time I've loved it. But in this book, we've had multiple, just finished my earlier thought. So, multiple times throughout the series, we get Onos Toulon and Talk the Young meeting together as friends, because we had a whole buddy cop adventure storyline early in the books. I want to say in book 2, book 3, maybe book 4. I don't remember at this point. I think it's book 3, because it's before Troll gets all his story development with the Tisti Eater. But yeah, so we've had these multiple kind of meetups between Onos, or just Tool, I'll call him from now on, between Tool and Talk. And in this book, it just really depressed me, which I'm sure Steven Erikson intended on doing, because it was a very sad kind of moment, and this is something that in my real life I feel a lot of feelings towards, is this sort of abandonment by friends, because Onos Toulon and Talk meet up again in this book, and Tool is like, you know, I need help doing something. I can't remember exactly. I think he was trying to save a lot of people from one particular culture before they got completely wiped out. There have been many cultures this book. Was a repeated thing. This book also was sort of the slaughtering of cultures down to 1 or 2 people at most. And So Talk comes in and is like, yeah, I can't be friends with you anymore. You're the object of my failures, and they have this big kind of fight between each other. Not a actual fight where they're, beating each other up or anything, but Talk and Tool are both sort of telling each other, these lies to each other to try and dampen kind of the splitting up, because Talk tries to play like the throwing the rock at the dog, for it to get away so he can save, the dog from, the bad guys or whatever. But I think I just really did not, excuse me, I'm having hiccups. But I just really did not like that happened. I really hope it pays off well. Tool becomes such a interesting character after that moment, because he is just completely filled with rage and filled with he's just really pissed off. And so he's just kind of going back and forth. He's not even going back and forth anymore. He is full on, like, going to his goal to achieve whatever purpose that he's gonna go for. Yeah, it's just that moment specifically. I vaguely referenced it in my TBR video from late last week, but I was talking about how there was a moment I really did not like and how it finished, because after Talk and Tool have that moment where they're arguing and saying like, oh, I'm not friends with you anymore, you suck, and all this stuff, Tool is murdered. And I was like, oh no, like, he's dead. Okay, I guess we're not getting Tool again. But then I remembered, oh, he's Talani Mass. He can just regenerate, elsewhere using other people's bones. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Okay, and my worries were kind of lessened after that. So if for anybody who watched that video and was wondering, like, yeah, I'm not as angry now with that storyline, but I really need to see how the resolution is, because I really want them to kind of, come back together and, hug and, just share a meal and not, be enemies anymore, because Talk and Tool were like one of my favorite friendships of the series, and it's not fun to see them thinking the thoughts that they have towards each other, and especially Tool, because Tool doesn't realize that, that Talk does still kind of view him as a friend, but he's more just getting Tool out of there for some. It's been a while. Again, this book, it's very thick. Took me a month almost. It was like 29 days, I think, compared to the previous books where it'd take me a week or two. And this book was just really, really slow. I mean, at times. But at the times that I really enjoyed it was with the prologue and all of the development going on with the Talan Nawat, or the Kachane Nawat, I believe. Maybe it's the Talani Nawak. But I loved everything with them, everything with the Kachane Shamal. I thought that was really, really well done. I loved it. It paid off everything I wanted with a Kachane Shamal, because we've never seen them in this many numbers. And the final battle of this book was just incredible. This was easily, like, it made it almost worth it. These really slow portions. I still really enjoyed this book. But if it wasn't for this ending, where we have all these different sky keeps coming in and fighting against the Nawak, and, fighting for the Kachane Shamal, while Gessler and Stormy are just kind of sitting there like, oh no, what do we do? Okay, y'all do this. Your squadron, do that. Because the Kachane Shamal have never had anybody who had, like, battle experience. And so I really love, I was really confused when Gessler and Stormy were kidnapped or killed. No one really knows what happened to them on that side of the board. But the Kachane Shamal, we see them and they're just hanging out, and they're like, oh my god, like, what is going on? They're like, okay, we're surrounded by these things, there's nothing we can do, we just gotta go with their plans. And, oh, now I'm, the first sword, and now I'm the Destriant, and, like, all the stuff to the Kachane Shamal. Okay, that's great. Like, what do I do now? Like, what the fuck? I don't want to be on the Kachane Shamal side. And I just really love the kind of whirlwind that we're in on this final, like, 100 pages or so. So I want to say it was the last 100 pages is when everything kind of comes to a head. But this book was just way too long. I love the ending, I love the prologue, and I love, like, 50% of the POVs. I really did not enjoy or like whatsoever the plot lines going on with Hetton. I think that's how you say her name, the wife of Onos Tulan. She is just completely hobbled, literally. That's what they call it. They have her go through hundreds of rapes, and I just felt really awful. She loses all motivation to continue on. She's just doesn't want to be around. And that was a really rough kind of plot line to read, and I don't know if it served any purpose in the end. Because, sure, it filled out the world, but it's like, I feel like, I don't know if this, I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying to find my words here, but it really feels like that every time we need to explore a culture even more, outside of the really fun portions where we get, someone finding a shattered piece of, a pot, a clay pot or something, and they, talk about the history of the culture. Like, unless it's those things, we get a lot of kind of culture fill-in in regards to, like, how rape is used. And actually, I think it's interesting on one level that, Steven Erikson is doing this, and I'm probably completely wrong about this, but I think the use of rape in the series has been a little too much, but at the same time, I'm also somebody who doesn't think that rape is something that should be, well, I gotta be really careful here. I don't feel as if survivors' stories should be hidden and should be, kind of, pushed away because, it's uncomfortable or anything. I think it's very important to have those stories told so that people can learn and you can try to, God, I don't know what road I'm going down, but this kind of whole theme of rape in the series is something I need to think more about and see where I'm standing, because I don't like it on a gut reaction, but at the same time, I completely understand why Steven Erikson would put this into the series, because it is something that happens in our world. It's just really hard to read the scenes over and over again. And now that I'm on the final book, which is The Crippled God, which I'm holding right here, I'm ready to read it whenever I get a good ways into book 1 of The Tawny Man by Robin Hobb. But I just really don't vibe at all with rape in fantasy. I know a lot of people, including myself for the most part, say that fantasy is escapism, but I also think fantasy also is a great, not platform, but a great sort of context to speak about our reality and what we go through in our lives. Because this is something that a lot of people have to deal with, and it's not pleasant, but maybe just tone it down a little bit. I don't know. I don't know how to do that, and I don't really want to talk about this anymore. But yeah, the whole rape thing in the series, I've kind of soured on quite a bit. Before this, I was keeping, an open, keeping my, I guess, opinions open, making sure, I wasn't just knee-jerking. But now that I finished book 9, now that I'm on book 10, which doesn't feel right. I feel like I shouldn't read this final book because I don't want it to end. But I feel like, there has to be a balance, I guess. And in terms of word count, it really doesn't take all that much time. But I think the way that viewers feel, as at least I felt after reading these scenes, is that it feels like it's such a major part of the story. And especially this story, because almost everything regarding Onos Tulan comes back to Hatan and how she is kind of dealing with the tribe that he was kind of the ruler of. And he had to leave, and he got excommunicated, so instantly she is, taken all her power away and raped over and over again. And we get multiple characters who we've had POVs from rape this character. So it's really hard, not fun to read. I don't like it whatsoever, but it's over at least. Maybe book 10 doesn't have anything like that, because now we're in the second half of the finale. I don't know how this book will end. I have no idea. I thought the events happening at the end of book 9 could have been the end of the series, in my opinion. I mean, we didn't get much at all with Adjunct Tavoy. And I believe Empress Lysine is dead. I think that's what happened at the end of Return of the Crimson God. I can't remember. Someone who's read these books, please let me know, because I'm just going all over the place with this series. I'm losing a lot of details from earlier books, but also there's a lot going on in these final books, and also the books that Cam Esselmont wrote. So I'm kind of all over the place with the details right now. I'm trying to hold on to everything, but I got one book left. So after that, and after Stone Wielder, which will close out my Malazan kind of reads for probably this year, I will do something with that. I don't know where I was going. But yeah, I've forgotten a lot of stuff, so I'm looking forward to my reread of the series. I'm loving these books. Dust of Dreams, rating-wise, I give it an 8 out of 10. Again, it was just sloggy. I wasn't in the mood for about half of the chapters. The rapes were too much for me. Everything with Tool and Talk, I wanted it to go differently, but maybe this final book will wrap it up very well, and I will say, yeah, we needed that moment. But right now, I didn't really like that. But yeah, I think this might be my least favorite book. Book 6, I felt the same way, where I felt like it was getting a little way down a bit. The pacing was slowing down a bit. But that was only for like 100 pages at most. But this book, I felt it for like a good 300, 400 pages or so. It felt like Rhythm of War, and I don't want to at all criticize, Stephen in that way of comparing his books to Rhythm of War, but it felt like that, and I was getting a little impatient towards the middle. But I think aside from that, the book was just very well done. I think on reread, my rating would go much higher, because I was really hoping for like a 9.5, out of 10 type of rating, but I didn't really get that. And so I'm really hoping book 10 delivers on that. And yeah, I have no idea where the series is going. All I know is that the Four-Crueler Cell is sort of the final force that we need to contend with. So yeah, I think that's it for today. If there's anything I did not talk about, please let me know in the comments. I'm happy to talk more about this book, and I would like to, because I know I've forgotten a lot of stuff with this book. But those were kind of the major points that I really want to talk about. Gessler and Stormy were my favorite characters of this book. I thought they were just incredible. Crickben, I haven't mentioned him. He was amazing in this book. I don't believe he's dead, but he was kind of smashed by a super lightning bolt at the end of this book, so we'll see. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and please let me know anything else you want to know, or what you felt about this book. I want to know what all of y'all think. So thank you all so much again, and please have a great rest of the day.